Hi, you guys. I hope you guys all had an amazing Thanksgiving. I know I haven't been posting, so I do apologize, but I'm back. So I'm back with story time. But before we get into story time, let's read the verse of the day. It's going to be, "For you equipped me with the strength for the battle. You made those who rise against me sink under me." That's Psalms 18:39. I thought that was pretty fitting for today's topic. So I want to talk about, like I usually do, my gang stalking experience and the things that I've come up with, that I've, figured out on my own. But, well, not on my own. It's all glory is always given to God, because if it wasn't for God, obviously I wouldn't have the insight that I do have to be able to, know what I'm looking for, God gives me insight and I hear it and I'm like, okay, and then we'll go from there. But I recently figured out that I'm pretty sure it's my ex-husband, or he's not my ex-husband. I believe we're still legally married. I'm not sure. I remember signing divorce papers and I gave them to him. I'm not sure if he ever took them to the court or not, but um anyway, I think he may have or he has a huge part in having people like, gang stalk me and follow me and things like that. He did work for a life insurance company, so I do believe, like, obviously there's probably, or there was, a life insurance policy out on me. Um, and I also believe that, well, I don't believe, I know because I seen, all of my exes, all of them are bisexual, apparently sleeping with each other, which is very odd. I mean, so from what I've experienced and what I'm seeing and what I'm finding out is that, maybe this cult and organization, or I don't know what you guys want to call it. I don't know what to call it. Gang stalkers, whatever you guys want to call it. They all know each other, and they're all people that I know. They're like people I worked with. They're, like I said, my ex lovers. They're family members. They're everyone that I know. So yes, I do feel alone. And lately, I have been extremely sad. I had a huge meltdown this morning, and I was just crying and crying because if you guys knew my story, like from what I know, and that's because I'm figuring out a lot of things too. Like, it's just unbelievable. And some of the things that I say may sound crazy. If someone's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm being gang stalked by my exes and their friends and all my family members and most of the people in the community." And yeah, I'm having a fantastic day. But it's weird because you don't, when you say gang stalking, people automatically relate that to drug affiliated, or you're doing drugs and that's why you think that. No, people have clear discernment, and if you ask God to show you, to bring all things done in dark to light, God's going to do exactly that. So I constantly stress how important it is to build a relationship with God. And I'm not going to lie, the last few days, I haven't read my Bible. I've just been very sad and just sad, with everything, and like with the disbelief of, when you build a family with someone, when you guys separate, especially when it was his doing, his fault. I would have never expected for anyone in my family or my ex-lovers, but especially the father to my children, to come against me and try to bring me down, knowing prior to CPS giving my children to him, I was their sole provider. Like, I bought my girls everything, their school clothes, their anything that they needed or wanted, my girls had, and they never wanted for anything because I always made sure that they had it. And so for someone to come in, especially the father to my children, to come in and like take all means away from me. So like I can't find a job because no one wants to hire me. Um it's just been hard, and now that, maybe now if I go and apply, people may start wanting to hire me, but now I'm just like, well, it's kind of hard when you're in a situation where you're being gang stalked because you don't know who's out, to hurt you and who's not. You don't know what company is a good company to go work for, and like, do they have your best interest in mind or do they not? Because what have they been told? What has been said? You know, so it's kind of scary too at the same time. So I'm being basically financially taken care of by, and when I say taken care of, I mean breadcrumbed by my honey trap. Um, but I'm grateful for it anyway because God provides for me every day my daily bread. So even if it's ramen noodles that I eat every day, I'm still grateful for it. But I just want to say, just be very vigilant about everything that's going on, everything that's happening, everything that um, is surrounding you, because if you have to know if you're being gang stalked, there's a primary reason to it. And if it was started through like um a hate campaign against you, or was it started because of a life insurance policy, or what was the underlining reason due to these people gang stalking you, or thinking that they can do that to you. And I can guarantee you, I do believe that I am chosen by God, but I also believe, and I've said this before, I remember saying this story about my dad, how my dad used to like tell us we were his favorite, right? So one day, me and all my brothers and sisters are around the table and we're talking, and um, we start saying, well, dad said I was his favorite. And then my other sister, no, dad said I was his favorite. And then my other sister, no, dad said I was his favorite. And we're like, what? And we all look at my dad like, Dad. So I tell my dad, Dad, didn't you say I was your favorite? And he says, yeah. So I turn back to my sisters and I start laughing, like, I told y'all dad said I was his favorite. Well, then while I'm turning around to my sisters, my dad's behind my back telling them, pointing at my sister and saying, no, you're my favorite. I just think about that all the time because I feel like that's how God is. I think we're all favored by God, just in different times, different you know, seasons in our life that we're favored by God. And I think that's why God kind of stresses, love your neighbor. Don't be envious to what people have or what they don't have, because you never know when your season's going to come up or when your time's going to be. We're all equally favored by God, just in different times. And I think that's important to share and say, because I don't think God's only helping me because I'm chosen. No. And maybe I'm not chosen. Maybe I seek God. I believe God. I place all my faith into God, and I know that He's going to get me through it. And I know if I ask, I shall receive, especially if it's God's will for me to know. So I encourage you today, if you're being gain stalked, to seek God, pray to God. And I know we have days where it's just so hard for us to get out of bed, or it's so hard for us to get up and, because a lot of the community are like, she's lazy. But anyone that knows me prior to this whole thing, I'm not, I'm the least laziest person. Like, I have always done everything I needed to do to provide for my girls. I remember telling y'all I had a company outside of working, where I was a supervisor at my old job. And then I would get off of work after working all night long, take my girls to school, and then I would go with my ex at the time to go pick up, like, we would pick up washers and dryers and fix them and resell them and things like that. So I would do that too. So I am by far the least laziest person, but when you're being gang stalked, it's kind of hard for you to, like, you just get into these like depression, yeah, and you feel like, I know for me, for instance, I just feel lost. I feel like, how do I even get my life back on track when the whole community is against me and I don't know where to turn or where to go to? And I've gone to the police department, or I've called the police, and they don't help. And a lot of, not a lot, but I'm sure a good amount of them are involved in it. So it's hard to know where to go or what to do. I mean, I've called the FBI too, at one point, about, all of this. And I was having like child pornography um, that was put on my phone. And I called them about that. Like, hey, I had, like, my phone's being hacked and I'm getting all these weird, like, pornography of children, and I don't like it. I don't like, this is so odd. This is so weird, And but you have to have your own back and save your own self. When I tell you I called the FBI that day, I called the Dallas FBI department. I think I called the Washington FBI department. I called the Texas FBI department, just to just to save myself, because these people are going to do whatever they need to do to try to get you um caught up in their mess, because they're projectors, they're projecting, and it just made me think, like, what are they doing that? Why would you have to be one sick individual to be sending child pornography? Like, what in God's name are you thinking? Like, God is not okay with that by any means, especially children that, are, innocent children, and, they can't protect themselves. That's why we're here. And I will continue to stand up for myself and for every child that I feel like is being mistreated, not treated correctly, and especially when it comes to any kind of sexual child pornography. Like, who does that? That you have to be sick in your head, right? But I just wanted to share that today and just say our stories don't have to match up with everybody, and it does seem like there's no way this person can be going through all that, but we know what we're going through, and God knows that we're in. God sees all. God's a God that sees all, and if you place your problems um before God, I truly do believe that you will be redeemed, and that you will be safe and secure, and God would not allow anyone to harm you or touch you. My children aren't in my care right now, but I pray for them 2 or 3 times a day constantly. In my head, I'm praying to God about them. I'll write in my journal. I'm constantly praying over my children, because it is hard to know, like, what's going on, especially when you trusted, especially when they're people that you loved, like my ex-husband and all my family. Like, these are people I trust, you know what I mean? And now to know that they've isolated me from my children, and um obviously I didn't know them the way I thought I did, for them to be doing this to me, it's insane. But yeah, I just want to share that and say you guys have a good day.